students. Let's continue our chapter stars and the solar system. So solar actually means the sun. So solar system is the family is the sun and its family of objects which revolve around it. And there are various objects which revolve around the sun, like planets, their satellites, millions of other smaller objects like asteroids, comets, meteoroids. So actually, solar system consists of the sun, the eight planets and their satellites, and millions of smaller celestial objects. And sun is the center of the solar system, and all other objects are revolving around it in fixed elliptical paths that are known as orbits. So all the planets except Mercury and Venus, they are having natural satellites, moons around them. We are having eight planets, and in the order of increasing distance, uh, they are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. These are all orbiting around the Sun. So, Sun is actually a medium-sized star and is of average brightness. And it is a star around which Earth and other planets revolve. And students, if Sun is a star, then how come it appears big and brighter to us? Because it is much more nearer to the Earth than any other star. In fact, it is the nearest star to Earth. Okay, and the diameter of Sun is about 100 times the diameter of the Earth, and the mass of the Sun is more than a million times the mass of the Earth. Sun is an extremely hot object. It's the having the temperature of about 6,000 degrees Celsius, and it is a sphere of gases. It's mainly made of hydrogen gas, and because of the nuclear fusion reactions which we had discussed, where hydrogen is converted into helium, in that reaction, lot of energy is released in the form of heat and light, and it is this nuclear energy which makes the sun, which makes the sun shine. So sun is actually the main source of heat and light energy for all the planets of the solar system, including the Earth and their satellites. And the planets and other objects in the sky, they reflect a part of sunlight falling on them, due to which they shine and they become visible to us. So now let's talk about planets. Planets are large celestial objects which revolve around the sun in closed elliptical paths that are known as orbits. Okay, and the eight major planets are here: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. See, students, planets, they do not have light of their own, but they shine and look like stars because they reflect the light of the sun which falls on them. Okay, and if star planets look like stars in the night sky, then how can we distinguish them? So it's actually that planets revolve in their separate fixed paths, separate fixed orbits, and they do not collide with one another while revolving around the sun. And there's one more important characteristic to distinguish planets from stars, that is planets are very small as compared to sun and stars. And because of their closeness, they do not twinkle at all. So the stars appear to twinkle at night, but the planets do not twinkle at all. Okay, and students, out of the eight planets of the solar system, five planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, they can be easily seen with the naked eye. So they were known to ancient astronomers. But the two planets, Uranus and Neptune, they are very far off and have been discovered with the help of telescope. And eighth planet is our own Earth. Okay, planet may be made of rock or metal and or gas. And the first four planets, they are much nearer to the sun than the other four planets, and these are known as inner planets, and the next four planets are known as outer planets. So Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, these are inner planets. They are made of rocks and have metallic cores, and they are comparatively small and dense bodies. Okay, then Earth, that is the biggest of the first four inner planets. And if we talk about Venus and Earth, See, Venus is the closest planet to Earth, and Venus and Earth have similar mass and size, so they are known as twin planets. Okay, now if we look at the size of the planets, the students, you can see here the size of the Jupiter. It's in fact the biggest planet of the solar system. If you look at Saturn, it's having some ring system. If you look at Mercury, it's very small in size. It's the smallest planet. It's nearest to the sun. Okay, and if you look at Mars, Venus, so you can see that the biggest planet is Jupiter and the smallest planet is Mercury. Okay, the inner planets, these Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, these lie inside the orbit of Mars, and they are having very few natural satellites. You can say very few moons. You can see here that Mercury is having no moon, Venus is having no moon, Earth is having one moon, Mars is having two moons, and the planets that are outside the orbit of Mars, that are outer planets, right? Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And these outer planets are much farther off from the sun than the inner planets. And the outer planets, these are giant planets. They are very, very big planets. As I told you, that the Jupiter is the biggest one, and the four outer planets are mainly made of hydrogen and helium gases, and not of rock and metal. They do not have solid surfaces at all. And one more important thing is that the outer planets have ring system around them. All of the four planets have rings, and the Saturn has very prominent ring, but the other have faint rings. Okay, rings are like small ice or rock particles revolving around the planet in a disk shape. Okay, and the outer planets, they are having large number of satellites or moons around them. You can see Jupiter is having the 28 satellites. Saturn is having the maximum number of satellites, 30 satellites. Uranus is having 21 satellites. Neptune is having 8 satellites. Okay, and one more thing is here that all the planets revolve in the same direction. That means the planets move around the sun from west to east, right? So the relative position of the planets in the night sky keep changing day by day. So planets keep changing their position with respect to stars in the night sky. Okay, but yes, you can see here all of the planets revolve from west to east. You can see here from west to east, but it's only Venus that revolves from east to west. Okay, Venus revolves east to west around the Earth. Okay, and it means that, see, when planets revolve from west to east, that means the stars, the sun will rise from east and set in west, right? But in Venus, when Venus is revolving from east to west, so it appears that the sun rises from the west and sets in the east. Okay, and one more thing is here that the axis of rotation of planets is tilted. You can see here the tilted axis of rotation, but if we look at the axis of Uranus, that is tilted by around 90 degrees. Rest of the planets have little tilted axis. Like you can see here, Venus is having 177 degree. Its Earth is having 23 degree, 23 half degree tilted. Mars is having 25 degree. So, but it is only the Uranus that is having the 90 degrees tilted axis. So this is the most remarkable feature of Uranus, that it has highly tilted axis of rotation. And because of this, it appears that Uranus rolls on its side while orbiting around the sun. So students, now let us discuss each planet in detail. So let's start with Mercury. Mercury is the first planet from the sun, and in fact nearest planet to the sun. So because of its closeness to sun, it's very hot during the day, and this is the smallest planet of the solar system. It is having a rocky surface which is covered with craters, depressions, and because the planet is very close to sun, so it's usually hidden by sun's glare. Okay, so it's quite difficult to see this planet, but yes, however, it is visible before sunrise or just after sunset near the horizon. And this is also because when planet Mercury is visible just before the sunrise in the morning, it's called as a morning star. And it's when it's visible just after sunset in the evening, then it's also called an evening star. But yes, it's not a star, it's just morning star or evening star because it lies inside the orbit of the Earth. Okay, though we cannot use the term star for Mercury, but it is a planet and not a star. Okay, it's fairly bright object in the sky and appears like a star. That is why it's known as morning star and evening star. And the planet Mercury shows phases like the moon because it lies inside the Earth's orbit. So, as Mercury revolves around the sun, its sunlit surface is visible in varying amounts from Earth, and this produces phases of Mercury. And yeah, no life can exist on the planet Mercury because it is extremely hot and has no water on it. It has because it has no atmosphere to prevent the deadly ultraviolet radiations of the sun from reaching its surface, and it has no satellite. Now, let's talk about the next planet, that is Venus. Venus is the second planet from the sun. It's the closest planet to Earth. Okay, and yeah, as I told you, that the rotation of Venus on its axis is somewhat unusual because Venus rotates on its axis from east to west, while the Earth rotates on its axis from west to east. Okay, so because of this, on Venus, the sun would rise in west and sets in east. That is just opposite what happens on Earth. Venus is a rocky planet. It is having a dense atmosphere which consists almost entirely of carbon dioxide gas, and it is the brightest planet in the sky. So you can we can easily recognize the planet's Venus in the sky by its brightness, and it appears very bright because its cloudy atmosphere reflects 75% of the light which it receives from the sun. Okay, and planet Venus is very hot. It also gets heated excessively by the trapping of sun's heat rays by carbon dioxide gas that is present in its atmosphere, right? That is a greenhouse gas. So nearness to the sun, along with its heating caused by the greenhouse effect, makes Venus the hottest planet. So the hottest planet is Venus. And again, it's also called as morning star or an evening star because it can be seen either as a morning star in the eastern sky just before sunrise or as an evening star in the western sky just after sunset. But yes, because it lies inside the orbit of the Earth, okay, just like Mercury. And Venus also shows phases like Moon because Venus lies inside the Earth's orbit. So, as Venus revolves around the Sun, its sunlit surface is presented to the Earth in varying amounts, and this produces phases of Venus. And one more thing, there's no evidence of life on the planet Venus. Life cannot exist on the planet because it's extremely hot, it has no water, mm, um, there is no sufficient oxygen in the atmosphere, it has no satellite. Okay, so these are two planets, Mercury and Venus, which have no satellites or moons revolving around them. Now comes the next planet, that is the most important planet, that is our planet Earth. It is the third planet from the Sun, and two planets lie between Sun and Earth, that's Mercury and Venus, which we discussed. Earth is spherical in shape, and when waved from the outer space, it appears to be blue and like a green ball due to the reflection of sunlight from water and land that's present on the Earth's surface. So, the Earth is the only planet in the solar system on which life is known to exist. Okay, and the Earth has two types of motions. Earth rotates on its axis and Earth revolves around the sun. Now, Earth rotates or spins on an imaginary axis which passes through its north and south poles. You can see here in this picture. And the Earth completes one rotation on its axis in 24 hours, which we call one day. And it rotates on its axis from west to east, and it's not perpendicular. You can see it's not perpendicular to the plane of the orbit around the sun. Okay, it's actually the tilted axis. It's tilted at an angle of 23.5 degrees to the perpendicular plane. Okay, and it rotates on its axis in tilted position, and it also revolves around the sun in the same position throughout. And an important consequence of the rotation of earth on its axis is that it causes day and night on the earth. And yeah, the earth takes 1 year to complete one revolution around the sun. And when earth moves around the sun in its orbit, it remains in this tilted position. And the important consequence of motion of tilted earth around sun is that it causes different seasons on the earth. We are having summer, autumn, winter, spring. So I told you that it's the only planet on which life exists. Now, the two major factors which are responsible for the life existence of life on Earth is the distance of the Earth from the Sun and the size of the Earth. Let's discuss the environmental conditions that are available on Earth which are responsible for the existence and continuation of life on Earth. And the first thing which I just told you that it is the distance of Earth from Sun. So actually, the distance of Earth from Sun is such that it has the correct temperature range for the existence of water and the survival of life. Earth is having like a suitable temperature range for the existence of life. That means it is neither too hot nor too cold. Another important thing is that Earth is having an atmosphere. See, our atmosphere contain many gases, including our important gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. And so it means Earth's atmosphere plays an important role in maintaining life on the Earth, right? The another thing is that the Earth is having a large quantity of water. In fact, it's the only planet to have lots of water. And this water helps in the continuation and the evolution and the maintenance of life on Earth. There can be no life without water, right? And next is that the Earth has a protective blanket of ozone layer high up in the atmosphere. And the ozone layer protects us from the harmful ultraviolet radiations. It absorbs the extremely harmful ultraviolet radiations that are coming from the sun and prevents them from reaching the earth, and then protects the living organisms, protects the living things on the earth. So this was all about the first four planets. That means the inner planets.